Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video we've got a couple of things to discuss, including three major signings. One for the Maple Leafs, one for the New York Rangers, and one for the Edmonton Oilers. And we'll get to all of that coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the Internet Talker channel. In this video, we've got a short video here talking about three major signings, including the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Rangers, and the Edmonton Oilers. And we'll still get to the later videos. As our usual videos, we'll be talking about a couple of season previews today. Last week we talked about four Eastern Conference teams. We're shifting over to the Western Conference today. So if you want to watch out for some Western Conference season previews, don't forget to stay tuned for some videos coming out later today. But in this video, we've got a couple of signings to discuss. First, we'll get started with the big monster signing that has happened, and that is that Auston Matthews has finally come to terms on a contract extension. Matthews signs a major 4-year deal with an AAV of $13.25 million. That's a major extension for the Maple Leafs top line center, and one of the premier goal scorers of the NHL right now. Matthews, $13.2 million AAV, makes him, AAV-wise, the highest paid player in the NHL. 13.25 tops McKinnon's $12.6 million that he signed last year. So he's now become, as of the start of the contract, which will be next year, he will become the highest paid player in the NHL. So not sure exactly how long that's going to happen. We have a couple of major extensions for a lot of guys over the next couple of years. I mean, McDavid is going to be able to have a contract extension in 2 years' time, Draisaitl in 1, and there's probably a couple of other guys who could challenge Matthews for highest paid player in the NHL. So it is going to be interesting, but for the time being, Matthews is going to be the highest paid player as of next year. So a really, really good deal. We knew he was going to sign somewhere between 13 and 14 million, and I'm quite surprised he only went 4 years. I thought there was a good chance he could go 5 or 6, but he was really stuck on signing for only 4 years. But still, Matthews is a top line center, and he is a elite level goal scorer. So to sign him for 4 more years in the prime of his career is a fantastic deal for the Toronto Maple Leafs to lock him up. I know that they needed to sign him before the season started. There was just no way they could start the season without Matthews being under contract, so it was good to see Matthews get signed. The first overall pick in 2016 has had a couple of fantastic seasons. In each of his first 7 seasons in the NHL, he's hit at least 60 points. He's hit at least 34 goals. So he's been a fantastic point producer. His best season came just 2 years ago when he hit the 60 goal mark and 106 points. He was a fantastic point producer. He had a bit of a down year last year, only putting up 40 goals and 85 points in 74 games. But definitely, he's looked lethal. In 481 games so far in his early career, Matthews has 299 goals. That's a goal per game rate of .62. If he were to play at least 70 games over the next 10 seasons, and he were to keep up this .62 goal rate, at the end of his age 35 season, he would have 733 goals, which would be 6th all-time in the NHL. So if he were to keep up this goal pace over the next 10 years, playing at least 70 games in each of those next 10 years, he would have a whole bunch of amount of goals. So like I said, one of the best goal scorers in the NHL right now, possibly one of the top 10 goal scorers all time if he can continue up this point pace over the next 10 years. So all in all, he's a fantastic player. I know that there's a lot of people who don't like the deal and think that he should have taken a discount, should have taken a little bit less money to help out the Maple Leafs cap-wise, but I definitely think with the way he scores, how elite level scoring he has been over the past couple of years, I think he definitely deserves the cap hit. On top of that, I do think that even though he didn't go overly long term, he's definitely worth that money. And I think if he can continue to average like 40, 50, maybe even 60 goals over those next 5 years, he could easily get possibly an even bigger raise on his next deal. So going to be interesting to see, but Matthews has finally come to terms with an extension, and Leafs fans can breathe a sigh of relief as they're not going to lose him possibly as a free agent next summer, and they're going to have him for the next, including this year, 5 seasons. So a really good deal in my opinion, and it's a really good day for the Maple Leafs fans to get Matthews locked up for the next couple of seasons. Going over to New York Rangers, they signed one of their pending RFAs, in Alexis Lafreniere, as the Rangers signed Lafreniere to a 2-year deal with the AAV of $2.33 million, and the deal will begin at the start of this year, as he was one of the remaining RFAs left in the NHL. So, good to see him sign. I think that's a fantastic deal for Lafreniere, given how he's produced at this point in time. Not good for a former first overall pick. If you look at some of the former first overall picks before Lafreniere who signed, they all did extremely well on their next deals coming out of their ELCs. You got Dahlin and Nico Hischier, Matthews, McDavid. So you got a couple of really good players before that, Lafreniere, who were drafted first overall, who wound up getting, if not really long-term big money deals, then they got bridge deals, which were really, really big. Dahlin got 3 years at $6 million. So it's not overly great to see Lafreniere only get 2 years at $2.3 million, but I think it's pretty good given the fact how well Lafreniere's played at this point in time. The number total is extremely similar to what Kakko signed last year, when Kakko signed a 2-year, $2.1 million AAV deal. So really similar to what Kakko was doing, a little bit more money for him. Lafreniere, so far at this point in time, hasn't really had a breakout season. Had 12 goals and 21 points in 56 games in the shortened season in his rookie year. Had 19 goals and 31 points in 79 games 2 years ago, and then had 16 goals and 39 points in 81 games. So at this point in time, he hasn't really had a breakout season. Hopefully this is the year and he can start to get some more minutes. Like I said in last week's season preview with the New York Rangers, I think there's a spot there in the top 6 for either Lafreniere or Kakko. And I think if one of them can take it and run with it, I think there's an extremely likely chance that they can finally find their footing in the top 6. If Lafreniere can find his footing in the top 6, put up maybe 50 to 60 points this year, maybe finally reach the 20-goal plateau, I think he can start to turn around his career. But up to this point, he hasn't produced like a first overall pick. So hopefully this new contract helps him turn it around. But up to this point, he hasn't really turned it around. So hopefully at this point in time, Lafreniere can get a bigger role this season, get some more playing minutes, and get a little bit more playing time to bump up his point totals and hopefully get a new career season this year. He's been able to top his previous year of point totals in each of his first 3 seasons. Let's hope he can do it for the 4th. But that's a really good signing for the Rangers, and it keeps the cap hit down for the next couple of years, and should keep the Rangers cap compliant for the beginning of the season. And lastly here, 2018 10th overall pick, Evan Bouchard, who is another RFA, according to Elliot Friedman, has signed a 2-year deal with the Edmonton Oilers with an AAV of $3.9 million. So that's a pretty good deal in my opinion. Bouchard's a fantastic point-producing forward. A couple of years ago, he had his rookie season, putting up 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points in 14 games. Then he had his first full season at the NHL level, putting up 12 goals and 43 points in 81 games. Didn't have a great regular season this year, only putting up 8 goals and 40 points in 82 games. But his playoffs this year were fantastic. Playing alongside Mattias Ekholm in the first and second round, he put up 4 goals, 17 points in 12 games. He did not look out of place at all. And if he continues to this playoff pace from last year, he's going to put up some fantastic point totals this year. I could see him easily put up 50, 60, maybe 65 points this year as a top-end scoring defenseman in Edmonton. So I think that's a fantastic deal. At $3.9 million, I think Bouchard's to excel this contract for sure. This contract does mean that the Oilers will probably have to run with a 21-man roster to start the season. But they should be able to make do with that. And I do wonder if this is going to hurt the Oilers long term, given the fact that I think Bouchard should be able to excel this contract enough that he's going to be able to get, like I said, if he gets 50, 60 points this year, improves that next year, maybe getting 60, 70 points the year after, he's going to push himself into the $7, $8, $9 million range on a long-term deal when this contract's up. And this contract's up the exact same year that Leon Draisaitl's contract is up. So with both of those guys getting big money extensions after in 2 years' time, the Oilers have a really big window to win right now because they're both going to need extremely big long-term extensions after this. So it's going to be interesting to see, but I think the 2-year bridge deal for Bouchard is something the Oilers had to do, given the fact of how much cap space they had. And I think it's going to be a good deal for Bouchard. I think Bouchard's definitely going to live up to it. But I just really worry about the Edmonton Oilers long term, given the fact that in 2 years' time, with Bouchard getting a couple more seasons to prove himself as an established point-producing defenseman, I do wonder if the Oilers do have a little bit of trouble signing long-term both Bouchard and Draisaitl in 2 years' time. So, going to be interesting to see, but the Oilers are able to get Bouchard done, the Rangers are able to get Lafreniere done, and now the Maple Leafs have Matthews locked up for the next 5 seasons. So, love to hear your thoughts on all 3 of those contracts. What do you think of the Matthews deal? What do you think of the Lafreniere deal? What do you think of the Bouchard deal? Definitely let me know down in the comments what you think. But that's all I'm going to talk about for in this video. Remember to like this video, and if you really liked it, remember to subscribe down below. I also do a blog talking about news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that, so definitely check that out. I'll leave a link to that in the description below, and I can't wait to see you guys all for the next video. See you guys soon.